Well, Jerry Garcia passed away 30 years ago today. And as you'll see in these reports, from about a month before he passed, from July 6th, 1995, Good Morning America, Nightside, CNN, they're all reporting on the misbehaviors of Deadheads. The dead lot. Hey, make a steely for me, fam. You know, all the things that everybody hates about the Grateful Dead. The abuse of the privilege of being a Deadhead. So, 30 years ago today, Jerry said goodbye. 30 years later, we're still debating the Grateful Dead and the family and the parking lot and the sphere and the GD60 and everything like that. So, Grateful Dead died 30 years ago today.
What a long, strange trip it's been. Well, for Grateful Dead fans following the band this week, the song has a little bit of resonance to it. In the latest incident, more than 100 fans were injured when a campground pavilion porch collapsed around midnight. Ambulances and school buses sped to the accident scene in Wentzville, Missouri to take the injured to hospitals. Police said about 30 injuries were serious and 4 critical. A group of fans apparently had sought shelter from the rain under the porch. Another group was on the porch, and both groups were hurt when the structure gave way.
The whole side of the building fell down. I mean, it's like a tornado or a hurricane scene. I mean, I'm from the Gulf Coast, and we have hurricanes, and that's what it looked like hit. I mean, it was flat down on the ground, and there was like 15 or 20 people trying to hold up one part of a rafter to get people out from underneath, and yeah, it was bad.
Grateful Dead fans were staying at the campground not far from where the group performed last evening. On Sunday, a Grateful Dead concert was canceled in Indiana after fans without tickets stormed a gate. They threw rocks and bottles at police, who responded with tear gas and police dogs.
Well, prosecutors in the O.J. Simpson murder trial have...
I'm Donna Kelly.
And I'm Leon Harris. Thanks for joining us this hour. For the second time in less than a week, there has been a serious incident involving fans who follow the Grateful Dead. Last night near St. Louis, more than 100 fans were injured at a campground during a rainstorm when a deck collapsed. CNN's Dan Ronan has the latest.
The concert was over, and hundreds of fans of the Grateful Dead were staying at a campground near St. Louis. It was raining. Some were dancing on a porch attached to a covered pavilion. Others went underneath to seek cover. Then the porch collapsed under the weight of the people standing on it.
Everybody was trapped underneath, and then like a bunch of people started lifting it all up and got it all up, and then, they just tried to get everybody out.
It looked like the entire left side of the building had collapsed. What it turned out to be was there was a deck, a covered porch, which was full of people underneath. It actually broke away from the building itself, trapping the subjects underneath.
Many of the people who were not injured tried to help their friends.
I mean, just gave it all. I mean, everybody was pushing so hard up on that thing, and so many people were being dragged out of there and limping out of there, and I had a really good friend that got her ankle broken. Oh man, it was crazy.
In the beginning, there were some people trapped underneath the deck or the roofing material or whatever was collapsed.
How many do you think approximately?
I think from what I could gather, there were 10 to 20 people trapped at one time.
The accident caused a huge traffic jam near the concert venue and the campground, making it difficult for rescue vehicles to get to the scene. This is the second incident in less than a week involving fans of the Grateful Dead. Sunday, some fans, many without tickets, tried to storm the gates of a venue near Indianapolis. The concert was canceled after rocks were thrown at police. Officers broke up that disturbance using tear gas, pepper spray, and police dogs. Several people were arrested. Dan Ronan, CNN reporting.
Dozens of fans of the Grateful Dead are grateful to be alive this morning. They were in a building that partially collapsed just around midnight in Missouri. Betsy Bruce of St. Louis station KTVI is covering the story.
At this point, the ambulance officials here in St. Charles County outside of St. Louis are expecting that 75 to 100 were actually injured, but we're only looking at 4 to 5 critically injured at this point. Many people suffered bruises and abrasions and cuts and did not go to an emergency room for treatment.
What kind of a building was it that collapsed?
Actually, it was the porch or veranda on a lodge at a campground here in Wentzville. people attending the Grateful Dead concert had come here to camp. There were a lot of sightseers from the area who'd come out to see the camp. This actually happened about the time the concert was ending, and so these were people who didn't have tickets for the concert, and they had crowded onto a porch and underneath the porch, which was built into a hillside, because of a very heavy rainstorm. They were trying to get out of the bad weather, and apparently the weight of the people on this deck or porch caused it to collapse on top of people who were underneath that porch deck. There might have been some people in the rafters as well, and so heavy beams fell on a few of the people who were critically injured.
Betsy Bruce of ABC affiliate KTVI in St. Louis, and of course we'll have a lot more on that story throughout the morning here on Good Morning America. In critical condition this morning, they were seeking shelter from a storm at a campground when a second-story porch about 250 square feet wide gave way. Some people fell, others were trapped under the porch. The mayor of Wentzville had this to say.
There's no question in my mind. It was a supported deck with an underneath area of concrete, and I think there was probably just too many people who had gathered there after the rain to get in and out of the rain, and it couldn't support that much weight.
We were just sitting there because it was raining, and everybody was sitting around, and all of a sudden it was like lightning crashed, and the light went out, and it just fell. And then everybody started screaming and yelling, and it was crazy.
The mayor of Wentzville, Missouri, and an eyewitness to the collapse of a building at a campground about 40 miles from St. Louis. Fans who were traveling to a Grateful Dead concert injured there, about 100 of them, 2 in critical condition this morning.
Right outside St. Louis, a porch at a campsite collapsed and more than 100 Grateful Dead fans were injured. Now, this comes just 3 days after a riot of Grateful Dead gate crashers at a concert in Indianapolis. Just before we went on the air, I spoke with Martin Limpert, an ambulance worker who helped rescue the injured. Mr. Limpert, what did you find at the scene when you arrived?
Well, when we first arrived, there was still a big thunderstorm going on, and it was pretty chaotic. People were running around, screaming for help. We saw that a structure had collapsed, and there appeared to be people trapped.
I understand there were people on the porch, and then there were people underneath. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's the only place where people would get out of the weather, and it appears that anybody that could tried to get shelter there, and they were hanging from the rafters and on the deck and then underneath when the building collapsed.
Any children at the concert?
There weren't any children there.
So when you arrived there were people trapped underneath and obviously people hanging. What kind of injuries did you see?
Well, fortunately, most of the injuries were pretty minor. We had a lot of minor injuries. We transported between 75 and 100 people. We don't have an exact figure as of yet, but 4 of them were critical patients that were taken to local hospitals, and the rest of them were kind of minor lacerations or abrasions.
And what kind of update have you heard on the people who were taken to the hospital, particularly those in critical condition?
Well, of the 4 that were taken out that were critical condition, 2 of them still remain in critical condition. They haven't changed, and the ones that had femur fractures, they're in stable condition right now.
Martin, thanks for being with us. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And joining us now by phone is the mayor of Wentzville, Missouri, Darrell Lackey. Mr. Mayor, good morning.
Good morning.
What's the status this morning? Can you give me an update on the people who were taken to the hospital?
I haven't received any official reports. I understand we were very fortunate that although there were a couple of critically injured individuals, after viewing the site early this morning, I think we were very fortunate more people weren't more seriously hurt.
There were 2 previous deaths at the campsite, one on Tuesday and one on Wednesday. Can you tell us the circumstances surrounding those deaths?
Well, it's my understanding that those individuals expired using some type of drugs or alcohol. Don't know really too much about it, but I would state that there are approximately 7,000 to 7,500 individuals who are at this site, which is just outside our city corporate limits, and that's a small community. It's probably larger than our town.
Are the problems that people travel with the Grateful Dead from city to city, so that some of these problems, in fact, are almost imported into your community?
Well, there's no question that I think some of the individuals, I would think a small minority, these problems are inherent with them, and I know the organizers of this event have been very cooperative, and we've had nothing but good success. Most of the people who have traveled with this group have been into many of our merchants, and they've stated they've been very courteous, and that's what I think the general mood of the group is.
Terrific. Mayor Darrell Lackey, thanks for being with us this morning. We obviously wish the injured well and appreciate your taking the time to be with us.
Over the past 30 years, the rock band The Grateful Dead has attracted an incredibly loyal following, but their current concert tour is not exactly a summer of love. It's been plagued with problems and tragedy. Here's NBC's Roger O'Neill.
Is the summer tour jinxed? In 2 cities now, big problems with the Grateful Dead. Nearly 100 injured, 3 critically, at a Missouri campground near St. Louis overnight when a pavilion collapsed.
A lot of kids were standing out of the rain, underneath and above on a platform, and it collapsed.
Tuesday, same campground, 2 deaths from apparent drug overdoses. And on Sunday in Indianapolis, a Grateful Dead concert had to be canceled. Fans without tickets stormed the fences. The Grateful Dead are a timeless leftover from the 60s, whose music is a little of everything, but always with a psychedelic flavor, and whose loyal followers, known as Deadheads, also seem left over. Despite only 1 top 10 hit, the band's music makes millions. There's an ice cream named after their leader. The Dead is even on the internet. And lead guitarist Jerry Garcia, who has probably never worn a necktie in his life, now designs neckties and sells them in some of the best stores of America. He names each one. This one's Last Chance. Not for everyone, but they're hot. The Dead summer tours are hotter, though, grossing $50 million a year. The band will be in Chicago this weekend, where extra security will be in place. The Grateful Dead has been touring the country for 3 decades. There's always controversy, but this week's problems have been different, with Deadheads hoping at an end. Roger O'Neill, NBC News.
Thanks for watching Cleveland Live Music. It's awfully bright out here. I'd click on another one of my videos. Quit looking into the sun. Your mother told you not to do that. Please hit the subscribe button. And if you want to support the channel more, there's GoFundMe and Patreon information in the video descriptions. Ooh, ooh!